This is Alabama Politics with Steve Flowers, an in-depth interview with Alabama's top political newsmakers. Now, from the studios of Troy University, here is Steve Flowers.
I'm Steve Flowers, and welcome to Alabama Politics. Folks, we're fortunate tonight to have as our guest someone who's not a politician, so I want to make that clear to y'all. He is one of the most established and respected men in the state, Gibson Vance, who is chairman of the Board of Trustees of Troy University, the entire system of Troy University. He is a prominent lawyer with Beasley Allen Law Firm here in Montgomery, and he is well respected throughout the state. We'll be president of the State Bar Association next year. He's from Montgomery, and we're proud to have him on the show. Gibson, good to see you.
Steve, it's always good to be with you. How are you doing?
Doing good. You know, I've known you since you were, I'm about 15 years older than you are, so I've known you for a long time. Your granddaddy, was Dr. Gibson your granddaddy?
He was, yes, sir.
He one of my favorite people in the world. Y'all people in Troy but watching the show remember Dr. Carl Gibson, just a colorful, great guy, a chiropractor there, and he always liked politics, and he was close to the establishment people there in Troy, the established political powers. He was in the Garden of Bassett, Ben Reed's machine, and he adopted me and he campaigned for me. Rode all over the county.
Steve, I told you this earlier, you're the first politician I ever met. In my grandfather's front yard, you were running for state representative.
On Flavia Circle.
That's exactly right. You were
I
the first
can see his house on Flavia Circle right now. Yeah. So were you living in Montgomery? Did you grow up in Montgomery?
I was born in Troy, lived there to the fourth grade.
In Beard's Hospital?
I was, yeah.
I was too.
Dr. Beck.
I was, when Dr. Becky come, I was Dr. Stewart and lived around the corner from the hospital. But you were born in Beard's Hospital?
I was, yes, sir.
What year would it have been?
At 1964, moved to Georgia in the fourth grade, then moved back and went to school at Troy, and I lived with my grandmother. She let me live. I didn't have any money.
Had Dr. Gibson died?
He had died a couple of years before, and she's like, I'm not going to pay you tuition, but you can live here for free.
So you were living on Flavia Circle the whole time you were in college?
That's exactly, last 2 years.
Well, I'll be dog. And Dr. McKinnon was right around the corner from you?
Right across the street. Mr. Woods.
James Woods right across the street.
Whose daughter, of course, Sister Schubert. Sister Schubert Rolls, right across the street.
Yeah, Sister and I are the same age. We grew up together, Sister and Charlotte. And so you live in the house Dr. Gibson had passed away, and you lived on Flavia Circle.
Rent-free.
Rent-free there when you going to college. What did you major in undergraduate school?
Political science.
Did you?
Yes, sir.
You knew you were going to go to law school the whole time?
Well, I wanted to go to law school. I've always thought about it, but when I got out of undergraduate, I needed a job first and foremost. So Caroline Gibson, who was in charge of placement services, got me a job as a personnel manager for Russell Corporation. I did that for 2 years.
What town was it in?
Well, I was in Alex City at first, and then they moved me to Marianna, Florida, then Geneva, Alabama. And I just always wanted to go to law school, and I called my dad, and I'm like, I really want to go to law school. And he said, well, I can't help you pay for it, but I think you need to go. My grandmother thought I'd lost my mind. I was making $28,000 at Russell, and she's like, how are you going to ever do better than that? And I moved up here, got a job, and went to night law school at Jones University.
Well, did you stay working for Russell when you went to Jones?
No, sir.
Just studied full time?
Yeah. Studied full time, got a part-time job. And that's been a while back, but it worked out pretty good for me. You
know, actually, Jerry told me, Jerry Beasley, who I'm referring to, the head of the law firm, he and I were talking, and I don't really know Mr. Allen, but he said he was a clerk for him. He was the only clerk he had when Jerry first started practicing, and Jerry hung up his shingle, and Allen was going to Jones Law School, and he said, I can't pay you, but I'm glad to help you. And then he's now
40 plus years ago, Greg Allen had moved over. He worked with the railroad company.
That's what he said, yeah.
And he got a job. They moved him to Montgomery, and he saw about night law school, so he decided he would go to.
Where was he from originally?
He was from College Park, Georgia, right near where the airport is.
How did he get over here?
Well,
with
the
railroad
moved him, and he saw an advertisement for law school, and he decided to start going at night. And then they wanted to relocate him, but he didn't want to leave law school, so somebody told him, his neighbor said, well, Jerry Beasley's opening an office and might need some help, and He met with Jerry. Jerry thought he was sharp and said, "I can hire you, but I can't pay you anything." And
how long did he work for nothing?
He's been working for him, well, for nothing, probably a year or so. But he's, we're Beasley Allen, and Greg is probably the best automotive product liability lawyer in the country.
That's what Jerry was saying. Now he's not very old, is he?
He's mid-60s, but he looks younger. But boy, I tell you, when he goes after a big company, he normally gets them.
Jerry is the sharpest looking 84-year-old guy I've ever seen in my life. His hearing hadn't gone or anything. And we had the best visit the other day. He told me so many great stories about starting the firm, and when he was lieutenant governor was kind of what we talked about, but then he talked about the firm a lot too. Then, but that's been a launching pad for a lot of the Beasley lawyers as y'all have gone to Jones Law School. We did, and we always say thank goodness for Greg Allen, because he hired Greg and was so impressed with him that he continued to hire folks from Jones. You know, we have over 100 lawyers now. He told me that the other day. That's amazing. What he also told me was how proud he was that they opened that office in Atlanta, that y'all opened your firm in Atlanta. He said, I should have done that years ago. That's been a real bonanza, hasn't it? We started 4 years ago with one lawyer over there, and we have 17 now. So it's really worked out. We're able to help a lot of people. We represent a lot of folks who've been hurt real bad, and we've kind of expanded our footprint. We represent folks all over the country. Well, I knew y'all had a lot of major cases nationwide. Y'all were the original firm on that Johnson & Johnson thing, wasn't you? We started that. The litigation accusing Johnson & Johnson baby powder, it causes ovarian cancer. It just does. And we represent thousands of ladies across the country that were affected by it. Gibson, go into that if you would, like how'd y'all get the idea of it, and if you don't, can you talk about it? It's settled and all now, isn't it? Well, there's conversations about that. It's a long story. Truly, you can make a movie, make a book about it, but we have not settled. We've had several trials against them. And we just had a lawyer come to us from another state. His father— He wasn't an Alabama lawyer. Wasn't an Alabama lawyer, and his father was an OB/GYN doctor. And he said, he told his son, he goes, I have seen a link between my patients who use baby powder, because when J&J marketed their baby powder, they targeted women, and targeted really African-American women the most. And, you know, a sprinkle a day was their motto. And this doctor had seen a link, and then when we got into it, we hired some— Was the doctor a Georgia doctor? It was a Mississippi doctor. And we hired some of the foremost medical experts from Harvard and Stanford that had done studies on it, and it causes ovarian cancer. Now, we haven't settled yet, but this is a major victory. About a year ago, Johnson & Johnson took off the shelves all baby powder made with talcum powder. It's the talc that causes the ovarian cancer. They make it with cornstarch too, and it's safe. So at least we've gotten them to quit selling it in the U.S. and Canada. Gibson, so but it ain't totally settled yet. No, sir. Still working on it. But now, when did it start? Probably 9 years ago. That long? Yeah. We've devoted a lot of resources, a lot of lawyering time, but it's Did the lawyer bring it to y'all's Montgomery firm, not the Atlanta firm? Montgomery, yes, sir. Yeah. But so in your firm, though, y'all kind of specialize in certain areas, which is a logical thing, isn't it? Yeah, we have 4 sections in our firm. We have a product liability, personal injury. We have what we call pharmaceutical section, and that's where we're handling the talcum powder cases. We have a consumer fraud, if people get treated wrong by folks. And then we have a toxic tort that worked on stuff like the BP oil spill. Do y'all do any medical malpractice? We do not. We do not. None at all. Jerry and Greg decided in Alabama that they just really didn't want to do that. We have a great relationship with a lot of doctors, and it's just nothing wrong with it. We just decided not to do it in Alabama. So the 4 areas again, tell me what areas? Well, we have toxic tort, we have our pharmaceutical section, product liability, and consumer fraud. What area are you in? Well, I help try cases when it's time to go to trial. You actually the trial lawyer. I mean, you're actually in the case. I get in the courtroom. Yeah, I like being in the courtroom. So you don't specialize. Everyone with 4 branches brings the cases to you, and you represent them. I help when they need somebody to help them at trial. I'm not the best trial lawyer by any means that we have, but I'm able to help when people need help. When you started law school, did you envision What did you envision? What area of law you gonna do?
Well, I
You
always
know?
wanted to help people, and I know that sounds trite, but it's when I grew up. You know, I went to a college on Pell Grants and student loans and working, so there wasn't a lot of money hanging around. And when I grew up, I never knew a lawyer. I never knew one personally, and I saw people that I went to school with, their parents, that would have struggles, and they didn't have enough people to represent them. There wasn't an access to justice. So I knew if I were ever going to become a lawyer, it was going to be to help people like me when I was growing up.
When you got out of school, did you go straight to Beasley Adams?
No, I worked for a lawyer here in town, and I was with him for 8 years. And we're
8 years?
Yeah, we're in the same Bell building that Beasley Allen was.
Same one.
And I got to know most of those folks, and they were just doing great, exciting things, getting really big, great results for our clients. And I figured one day that's what I wanted to do, and I was fortunate.
Were you doing plenty of work
I was.
in the original firm?
Yes, sir.
So, and then how did it get where you got over there to Beasley Adams? You just see Jerry in the elevator one day and just start talking?
It's about that similar. Well, they used to have a little snack bar downstairs, and I would see them in there. And one day when I decided to make a move, I went and met with our managing partner, Tom Methven, and I said, Tom, I'm ready to come over. And they were gracious enough to hire me. You know, Jerry is one of the best lawyers in the country. You know that. But you also know that he's one of the greatest people you'll ever meet. And he takes a lot of satisfaction in letting people like me and other lawyers in the firm have success. He wanted me to be on the board of Troy University, and he supported that and other things I've tried to do. And I think that will be one of his many legacies.
I've heard Tom Methven's name for years. I've never had the opportunity to meet him. He's a pretty young guy, isn't he? Isn't he fairly young?
Tom is 59, about to turn 59.
And you're only 56.
Yeah, I'm 57, and but Tom's been our managing partner for over 20 years.
That's what I thought.
Probably 25.
So that's his forte.
He is one of the smartest people you ever meet. I kid him that he's got a computer in his head because he is the most organized, the most aggressive in getting things done correctly and putting in systems. Because if you have 100 lawyers, you got a lot of folks running around, and you got to have somebody that knows what they're doing.
So y'all got 17 in Atlanta, and that means you got about 80 over here.
Well, we have lawyers. We have one lawyer in New York. We have a lawyer in Colorado. We have several in Birmingham. We've opened a Mobile office, and we have, I think, 8 lawyers there. And, you know, we learned during COVID that you can work remotely. And so that's allowed us to go outside of the state of Alabama, hire some lawyers that can help us in very specific niche cases that we get involved in.
Well, now, when I was a younger man and looked at, would observe law firms, Cunningham Bounds was the biggest in Mobile, and Hare Wynn was probably the biggest in Birmingham. Are they as big as y'all are? Are y'all past them now?
They're excellent law firms.
I knew they were.
They have not chosen to really grow.
And
Cunningham Bounds, fantastic firm. Hare Wynn, fantastic firm. David Marsh's, Bill Marsh's brother, fantastic lawyer. And just
Leon Ashford's an old friend of mine.
Oh, Leon's first class.
You know, I worked with Baxley.
Oh, yeah.
When I first got out of school, and in that group was Myron Thompson, Leon Ashford. You can name a whole cadre of just the great young lawyers. That was Myron's first job.
Wow. And now he's been a federal judge for decades and done a great job.
But back to you, so you go to court most of the time.
Well, I go to court when I'm needed. I also help the firm bring in business and do a little politicking for the firm.
Does Jerry go to the law in the court anymore?
He does. Yeah, he tried a case. Probably right before COVID. Of course, nobody's really tried many since COVID, but I think he was down in Hamble in court there. And you know, when Jerry shows up, it gets the defendant's attention.
I bet it does. Hey, Gibson, you know, Shane, talking about Jerry, he really has not, he lives in great shape. You know, one thing that those of us who've been around politics all of our life and have observed Jerry and other guys who've been around it and been in government and law, and you know something about their personal life, Jerry and Sarah Beasley have a really remarkably close marriage. I mean, that's if people sit down and say, okay, here are the 10 most famous people in the state, or 15 or whatever, and what do you know about them? The first thing comes to my mind is how close he and Sarah and what a great marriage they've had over the years.
Sarah's a saint, you know.
That's what I knew. I knew she
Truly
was
one of the
yeah.
sweetest, most Christian people you would ever meet. And,
Right.
And she just, you know, they adore each other, and they've had 3 kids, and, you know, Sarah's kind of like my wife, Kate. They keep us straight.
Well, to go into that, tell us about your wife, Kate, now.
My wife, beautiful wife, Kate.
Where's she from?
She originally is from Dalton, Georgia. And we have 2 kids, one who's getting his master's at Troy. We're so proud of him. And then my older son graduated from Alabama, and he's working in business here locally. And proud of both of them.
So you have 2 boys?
2 boys.
And now, where did you and Kate meet? Were you out of law school, or you in law school?
I was out of law school.
You already out of law school.
I was
so
out
you
of
up
law
at age
school.
28 years old or something?
Yep, I was, and just a friend introduced us. And, you know, it can
Was she living here?
She was not. She was living in Atlanta, but meeting the right person can change the trajectory of your life, as you know.
So you were working in the law firm on the Bell building when y'all met.
Correct.
And then, does she have a profession or anything?
Yeah, she used to work in financial services, but she told me a few years ago that she was going to retire. I have to travel a good bit, and raising kids, somebody had to be at home.
Right.
But yeah, Sarah's the best, and Jerry's, they've had a great marriage.
They really have. And the daughter, Julie, she was with the firm, but she does nothing but her horse stuff now.
Yeah, she got smart. She retired early. She was a really good lawyer.
I heard that my daughter, who was close to her, my daughter's a lawyer with Carl Allison in Birmingham, and she loved to have cases with Julie. They were the same age, and they bonded. But Jenny was kind of sad she left.
Well, Julie was smart. She did a great job for a number of years and was able to retire early, and she's doing what she loves, and that's riding horses and competing in rodeos. She really enjoys it.
Now, how old are your boys?
Well, my oldest is 25, and
is he named after you?
I'm Carl Gibson Vance. He's Carter
So
Gibson
you named
Vance.
after your granddaddy?
I was named after my granddaddy, and I named my son after both Jimmy Carter and myself.
Now, your middle name's not Bascom, is it?
No, no.
Carl Gibson Vance.
No,
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Carl Gibson Vance. And so you named after Dottie Gibson?
Correct. Yeah.
I'll be doggone. So your older son's named the same thing?
Carter Gibson Vance.
After Jimmy Carter?
Right.
Now, how old is he?
He's 25.
Is he the one getting a master's at Troy?
No, my youngest, Andrew, is getting his master's, and he works part-time at Troy. He loves Troy. I don't know that we're ever going to give him the leave.
What is he majoring in?
Well, he's majoring in, it's a degree, basically, of higher education, folks that want to get in higher education administration. He wants to work at a university in the student services area, you know, help students, and he's doing well.
How old is he now?
He's 24.
And the older boy is 26?
25.
25.
Yeah.
We all had them back to back, didn't
We
you?
did. We did.
Tell me now, let's talk about the university some. When did you go on the board?
I've been on the board about 11 years. Governor Bentley appointed.
long?
Yep.
Have you been 11 years on the board of trustees?
Time flies.
Boy, you brought the average age down, didn't you?
Well, you know, Milton was on the board. Milton McGregor.
That's right.
A great guy.
And you know, Milton and I were good friends.
I loved him.
You knew that, right?
Yeah, I did. He had a lot of good friends. He did a lot of good things.
If he was
people.
your friend, he was your friend.
He was your friend, and he allowed me to ask for his position because politically he did not think he'd get reappointed, and Governor Bentley was kind enough to appoint me.
And that was 11 years ago.
Almost 11.
Good God, time flies. Now, but now that group's getting kind of up in age, you know.
I tell you,
I don't talk about trying to talk bad about it, I am too, but. You know, you got one that's 100 years old. Well,
that's Roy Drinkard. He's about to be 102, and he's one of the sharpest business people you ever meet.
Everybody says it, yeah.
He is phenomenal. He flies somewhere every day. He's got a plane to do a business deal. I mean, he moves and shakes more than just about anybody I know. He's got one of the best minds I've ever seen.
How long is a term on the board of trustees?
We're a little bit unique. Our term is 12 years.
12 years. So you been on there. So 12. Y'all, how many of y'all?
There are 9 of us. Well, there's 11 of us plus the governor. And the governor.
She comes to them now.
She'll come to some of the meetings. She's really the presiding officer.
Some governors don't come. Yeah.
Well, she's just phenomenal. She's
Yeah.
been really good to Troy. She comes to homecoming. She comes to some of our board meetings and is always very receptive when we need to come speak with her.
So your turn's almost about up. Yeah.
Next year.
Now, who, and Naylor from Dothan's on there?
Charles is from Dothan, was a great business guy in the restaurant business.
Is he retired now?
He has retired, yeah, but quick mind.
Are they from different congressional districts?
Yes, sir. We have one from 5 congressional districts, and we have 2 each from the district that Troy is located in and the district that Montgomery is located in, and then we have 2 at large.
So now, Doug Hawkins was, he was on board part of the time when you were there, wasn't he?
He was. Doug Hawkins, we named our football, part of our football stadium after him. Our
press box.
Our press box. And nobody loved Troy more than Dr.
really
Doug.
did.
And
even though he went to Auburn, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Being a
But
vet,
he loved Troy, living there in Troy. And he was the chairman of our board for, I think, 18 years.
He probably was good friends with your granddaddy.
Oh, yeah.
Will he tell you that?
They didn't live far down the road.
I know it.
He knew all my people. And he was very good to me when I first got on the board. He told me what to do and what not to do, and I listened.
Y'all lost Lamar Higgins.
Lost Lamar. You know, I said nobody loved Troy more than Doug, but maybe Lamar did.
I remember when Lamar was president of SGA. That's how old I am.
2 times in a row.
And then Cam Ward, who's on there now, he was a SGA president.
2 times in a row.
He was 2 presidents of
them.
SGA? I didn't know Cam was 2. Cam was the SGA president when I was in the legislature.
Well, it was very fitting that Lamar, who had been the first African-American elected as SGA president, and first one elected twice, first anybody elected twice, and then Cam came many years later and was elected twice, and Cam took his seat once we lost Lamar.
Well, I'll be answering that. Now, who else is on the board? Our friend Senator Gerald Dow.
Just talked to Gerald Dow. I said, look, I'm going to be on Steve's show. Can you tell me how not to look foolish? And he said, no, good luck. Gerald, you know, I don't think anybody understood the legislature and the governmental processes as much as Gerald Dow did. And Gerald followed Doug and served as the board chairman for 2 terms.
Now you're chairman of the board.
I am. I'm in my first year. The board's allowed me to do it. Anybody could have done it and would have done a great job, but they've allowed me to do it.
Now, let's see. Now, Nayland's on there, and Cam Ward's on there. Is Cam from a congressional district or at large?
Cam, when he moved to Montgomery, he's from represents Montgomery.
Okay. So you have 2 from Montgomery, 2 from. Actually, from Troy, you could have 2 from Troy.
That's correct. Well, Earl Johnson is from that.
Who now?
Mayor Earl Johnson.
Oh, that's right. Earl is. Earl's a good board member.
Oh, yeah.
He's been loyal to Troy over the years. I'm going to tell you, he loves Troy.
We were very excited to get him on the board. In fact, he replaced Doug when Doug passed away.
That's right. Earl Johnson's perfect.
He's a great guy.
He's still mayor and Lucia, too.
He is. We have 4 lawyers in all, myself, Cam, Earl, and Forrest Latta.
Yeah, Forrest was in school when I was in the legislature too.
Yeah, he's a good guy. He is down in Mobile.
I'm not sure Forrest isn't tied to Jenny's law firm somewhere. She has some kind of connection with him. What firm is he with down there?
Burr Foreman.
Okay, Burr Foreman, yeah.
They
That's what I'm thinking, yeah.
do good work. And we got John Harrison.
Yeah, now John in one of the local districts too.
Yeah, he's from New Bern originally.
John's a good businessman.
Oh yeah, I mean he was former chair of the banking commission under 2 governors.
That's right.
Riley and Bentley, and he's the chair of our finance committee. So you got him and Jack Hawkins and Dr. Book out looking over our finances, and they do a very good job.
Yeah, they do. Y'all know, the thing about it. Let me give you a tip of the hat for this. You know, serving on board of trustees, you don't get anything for it. It's almost like a full-time job. Well, I mean, y'all have to meet a lot and decide, make decisions, but y'all don't get any compensation. Well, I don't guess any board of trustees does. In the state do that, any university board of trustees.
Well, we just have wonderful people. Karen Carter, she used to be with State Farm.
That's right.
She just does a great job for us. Alan Owen, who played football at Troy, his wife was a majorette.
Yeah,
and
she's a Troy girl.
He's been on the board longer than anybody. And
you know, Ned grew up around the corner from Dr. Gibson.
Yeah.
Did you know that?
Oh, yeah.
She lived over there on Hillcrest.
Yeah.
Annette and Cheryl.
Right, the Colley sisters.
And Cheryl passed away from COVID.
She sure did. Sweet lady. But to your point, we don't get paid, but man, you can't imagine the sense of pride and satisfaction to be able to come back and work for university and represent
Where you went,
university.
you know.
Yeah, where I went.
That's your alma mater.
Oh yeah, I couldn't be more proud. Everybody feels the same way. We got probably the most cohesive board I've ever seen.
Miss Carter went to Troy too, didn't she?
Miss Carter went to Troy, and she's from Brundage originally.
Yeah, that's right.
They have a farm there also.
That's right.
And just every person on the board cares deeply about the university.
Well, now let me ask you this question. Do you go to all the ball games?
I go to a lot of them. A lot of times General Ed Kroll and I ride together.
He's on the board.
Absolutely.
I forgot about Ed being on the board.
Ed is the vice president pro tem.
Okay.
So I don't make a move without
Are you
checking
in
with
one
Ed.
of the Montgomery seats?
I am a Montgomery seat. Ed is in that large seat.
And so he's been on a while too.
He has. Yeah. He's a great member of our board.
Do y'all go to any of the out-of-state games?
We do. We go to one. We could go to more, but we have one board trip. Last year we went to Texas State in the town of San Marcos, Texas. And great ball game, great stadium, great campus. Lyndon Johnson went to Texas State.
That's right.
Yeah, and George Strait is from that town. So a little bit of history in San Marcos, Texas. But we traveled as a board to that trip.
Gibson, what I was going to ask you about, what's your favorite sport?
Well, I love football. I mean,
too,
it's just, you know, the chancellor would tell you if your football team's doing good, everybody's happy. So we got a great athletic director, and but we're doing real good in baseball. But I tell you what, one of the most successful programs year in and year out is our women's basketball team.
Women's basketball.
They won the conference 3 years ago, 2 years ago, and then this year lost in the finals. But we have a great coach, and those ladies do a really good job.
Gibson, I'm looking over here at my clock. I can't believe our time's gone.
No way.
I mean, I had the most fun talking to you. I swear, our time's up though, and let's do it again some other day.
I would love to.
Maybe get Jerry back on too. You know.
Oh, that would be great.
Because he's in great shape.
Oh, he's not going anywhere. He's the leader of our firm. We need him, and he keeps us going in the right direction.
Well, thank you for doing this.
Yes, sir. It's a pleasure.
Folks, our guest tonight has been Gibson Vance, a prominent lawyer with Beasley Allen here in a partner in the firm there, in one of the biggest law firms in the state, and chairman of the board of trustees of Troy University. We thank him for taking time to be with us, and we thank you viewers for watching. Hope you tune again next week for This Week in Alabama Politics. Thank y'all.